Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting of 22 April. Today's a rather important session as we move to close on both our fiscal year 15 budget and the warrant for town meeting. We'll be talking about a number of those items in particular, and we'll be talking about some items that relate to the budget, potential new contract for payroll services, our strategy and funding with regard to a water main break on Route 5. We'll also be talking about water and sewer rates. Here the Finance Committee is rightfully brought to our attention that we've not kept pace with the operating costs, much less the capital costs of an aging infrastructure. Other topics include the annual ambulance abatements and a related policy, some comments about our Green Community Grant request, and finally we'll have some discussion as to whether or not we go into executive session with regard to the contract for the town administrator. And tonight we also have a second meeting with the Finance Committee to again try and close on any open budget and or warrant issues and get their perspective on things. Before we begin, I do have one announcement, and that is I'd like to announce that this year's town report honoree is Mr. Kenneth Blyce of Gore Avenue. Mr. Blyce was not able to be here today, but it's really a pleasure to make that announcement. As you know, service to our nation's been a long tradition here in Hatfield. You can see the names of those who have served on various plaques inside and outside the town meeting. And for over 55 years, Mr. Blyce has served veterans and their families and the community in a variety of ways. Perhaps most visible to folks are his participation, organizing and executing military honors at wakes, funerals, for Veterans Day, for Memorial Day, and a variety of other things. In short, he's been a dedicated, selfless driving force honoring those who've served our nation in harm's way. And we're pleased to announce Mr. Blyce's selection as our honoree in this year's town report. Are there any other announcements today?
Don't have any at this time.
No.
I have just one. It just came to my attention this morning by the head of the highway department that we are getting people from out of town dumping debris, leaves, whatever, up at the DPW yard. So it's kind of unfortunate, but we are definitely going to have to gate that off. It costs quite a bit of money. I think somewhere around the neighborhood of $10,000 a year that we're spending on grinding up brush versus having our own people do it. It's cheaper in a long run, but still quite expensive. And when we start getting brush in from Northampton and other towns, it does get expensive. So we are going to have to gate it off. We'll have to come up with during the day it will be open. However, and Saturdays, I think we'll have it open. Yes. So those are the only days that there will be no more dumping after hours, basically. So again, it's unfortunate, but we have to kind of clamp down on it. So I'm sorry to make that announcement, but that's the way it's going to have to be.
Any other?
I'm good.
There's no one here for community forum. We have a motion to approve Board of Selectmen minutes of 8 April.
9 a.m.
So you're right. The 9 a.m. session. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion about it?
No, I'm good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to approve Board of Selectmen minutes of 8 April 6:30 p.m. meeting?
So moved.
Finance.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, great. First topic, water and sewer rates. I spent some time on this, and let me just take a stab in terms of framing it up. I think one thing we need to do is separate the pricing structure from rates. And let me just I'll throw out a proposal, and then we can discuss it. For pricing structure, I would propose we essentially maintain the same pricing structure, not necessarily the same rates, but the structure. We'd have an agricultural rate, a non-agricultural rate, a minimum rate, and we would not be dealing with seasonal rates or other kinds of possibilities in terms of doing this. That we'd raise the minimum charge from $45 to $50 every 6 months, and reduce the minimum allowance from 1,200 cubic feet to 1,200 from 1,356. We'd set and increase the non-agricultural rate 5%, and we're talking water here, to 383. We'd make the agricultural rate 70% of the non-agricultural rate, plus we'd maintain the no minimum. That'd be 267. And we'd increase the sewer rate from 5 to 7.5%. And I don't, whatever that number comes out to, that structure maintains the agricultural rate, and there was some issue about that. And it's a 30% discount over non-agricultural. So yes, it goes up, but still you have to maintain the entire infrastructure to provide that. Same logic for the minimum users. I mean, we up to $10 a year the charge and brought it down just a little bit as to the volume. But, I mean, you can't even get a quarter of a tank of gas for that. And then on the sewer, we haven't raised that for some period of time. 2010, 2011?
Yeah, 2010 to 2011.
So
What would the number?
this would essentially cover our operating expenses for water, and it would give some very minimal amount toward capital, and it would just about cover the operating expenses on the sewer side.
Okay, well, looking at the slip here, if I got it right, 2013, the water revenue was $399. In 15, the budget was $272. So, I mean, you're making money on the water big time. Okay, if I'm reading this right. If you look at page 1, okay, that was given to us. So it looks like the revenues for water for 2013 was $399,080.21. And the current year's budget, the new budget coming up in 15 is $272,000. So you're 100 and
Increasing the
roughly 30.
non-agricultural rate about 5% brings you in about $13,000 to $16,000.
I guess then I'm not sure what this page means.
I finally, I disregarded those. I mean, those are wet and dry years year on water, yeah. Well,
Well, no, this is in our package.
Yeah.
Okay? This is the water and sewer rates from 2009 to the present. That's what the rates are. And then down in the next step, it was water and sewer revenues that we brought in from 2010 to 2013. All right? And even on the driest year, we brought in $360,000 and $360,372 on the driest year, which is in 12. And if this year's budget is only 272, you're already in the black by 100 and something thousand dollars.
Go over your targets, Phil, for water and sewer.
Well, Ed's correct in that. That is just the operating budget, though. So including in that is a $15,000 debt for the truck lease, plus what isn't included. This is just the operating budget for the water. So what else is, that isn't in that is the debt for the water plant.
And what's the debt looking
Well,
at
right
the
now,
budget?
we're paying up to 45, excuse me, 45,000 a year.
So we're still at about $140,000 roughly of, in the black.
Well, 45 and 15 is 60.
Well,
On
if you got
top- on top-
272
on
and you
top of
add
the
40 to that,
272.
that's roughly 300.
And the only question that I have is what the structure is for paying into the water plant debt. Because as you know, when I first came here, you said it was a 7-year payback. And that's not going to happen with the current rate structure. There's no way that you're going to end up paying $140,000 into that debt every year.
You're almost at a break-even point then.
Close, not including
the water.
anything new, which we still have some debt from the water project that we took in conjunction with the public on West Street. That was an $80,000, almost $100,000 ticket that we contributed into out of the Water Enterprise Fund for the materials.
All right,
So
Jeff,
that's about $12,000 a year too in debt there.
Non-agricultural increase of 5% results in about roughly $15,000.
I just want to
Increase.
clarify something with you, Jeff, before what you're proposing, because the agricultural rate right now is $2.09. Not the non-agricultural, but the agricultural.
Okay. But I'm saying make the agricultural rate 70% of
Correct.
the non-agricultural.
Correct.
Just tie the two together. That's a 30% reduction, plus no minimum.
No minimum.
That would,
the no minimum would be for agriculture, as you're talking
right,
about?
no minimum, and we make that agricultural rate 70% of,
What's the dollar figure that it's going to bring in? Do we have that? See, when you're comparing that, you should have, okay, what last year brought in X amount of dollars, and if we go to 70%, what would 70% bring in? That's what I'm looking for figures. The 70% doesn't tell me anything, doesn't tell the people anything.
yeah.
So right now, we're at 65% agricultural, and you want to raise it to 5%? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's just about 60% now.
60?
58 or 59, something like that. Call it 60%. It's going up 10%.
On the overall rate.
Yeah.
So right now, it's 360 through 365, so you're adding
This,
365.
all the material we got here doesn't help us at all moving toward a decision. You have to do it piece by piece.
Well, I know that. That's why
and-
when you read off a whole proposal, I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out where we
I
stand
understand.
instead of doing percentages.
This is my Easter afternoon.
You know, it's easy to shoot that off, but to understand it and
Yep.
to say, yes, this is what it is. You know, I mean, the agricultural rate went from, what is it, 68% to 70%?
Agricultural rate now is
It's $2.09.
$2.09 per,
$2.09. So 70% of 365. Be roughly 5%. Yeah, about 5% more. So I guess if you're only going to go up 5% on the agricultural and 10% on the residential, that doesn't make sense to me. If you go up 10% at,
No, actually, it's going up, I'm tying the agricultural to the non-agricultural
right,
and making it 70% of,
so the rate of 360.
70% of 383.
Right, which would increase it by 19 cents. The ag rate.
So
So it'd be
19 cents, so.
209 plus,
19, say
well,
228.
it would be 70% of 383, whatever that
Right,
is.
that's a 19 cent increase.
So they'd still only be paying $2.28 when everybody else would be paying.
It's a bargain.
$3 and something cents.
Correct.
It's a bargain. For an agricultural community,
We understand that, Jeff, but water is water, okay?
I realize that, and
And the same, you know, I mean, it runs through the same pipes as we pay, and, you know, I can see giving maybe a 10 or a 15% cut, but a 70% cut, I think we ought to really look at that.
it's a 30%, not
Or
70%.
a 30% cut, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, we have infrastructure problems just like everybody else. And if the water flows through the pipes, then have to take that into consideration.
That would be 268
Correct.
for the agricultural
Rate.
rate.
And the non-agricultural is 383, correct?
Right. So it's a little over a dollar less.
To me, I'd like to see at least the agricultural go up to $3. And maybe cut back on the, well, we won't cut back on the residential, we leave it where it is. And that would be just for maintaining and expenses.
I mean, my only,
Well, there's only 18 folks on
18,
this?
between
So
14 and 18.
This is not driving our income.
my only concern is if we raise it too much, that the farmers, again, as I said, I think at last meeting, that they can put in an artesian well and then, obviously, they're using more water than residents are. Now, if we lose that income, we're going to be further behind. So if we stay, like Jeff suggests, yes, we're raising them, but they're still going to stay with us and still give us income. Whereas we raise them too much.
Well, you can say the same for the residential, because they can go out and put an artesian well in also, and then cut us right off, period. Okay, so, you know, I mean, when it comes down to the whole thing, we could be shooting ourselves in the foot all the way around here.
Well, we're raising the agriculture rate just over 10%. Now, that's a hike. There's no easy answer. I'm just trying to cover costs. And are we going to make?
I hear you.
We're going to make everybody happy? Hell no. Excuse my French. I'm trying to make it bearable, one that covers our costs.
But I guess what I'm
spreads-
saying is,
spreads out
I don't
the-
have a problem giving a break,
Yeah.
okay, but a 30% break, I have a little problem with that, you know? So that's where I stand on that. Sewer, on the other hand, what was the proposal on the sewer? 5%, I think you said?
No.
Oh, where is it? Just a second, bear with me. Sewer to $6 went up. Well, actually, we need we just discovered that we need to go up a little more than that. That doesn't even cover, you were in deficit last year on your operating,
Yes.
much less. So it would really need to go up, not 5%, but 7% or 7.5%. So,
See, what would be very helpful, and this is what I asked Mike Ohl, to come back with some scenarios, okay? If we had a deficit last year, what was the deficit? How much?
you know, well, that was my problem this weekend, trying to do this.
Okay?
What are the
If we had the
targets?
numbers, we could really,
What are the targets?
Easy for
I
the
can
whole
shoot
thing.
anywhere, but, you know, what am I aiming at?
there should be a spreadsheet here that gives us exactly what our deficit is and then how much we need to bring it up.
Well,
And we wouldn't
the-
have to figure anything.
Well, you have that
We
in
have
front of
that.
you. I mean, the sewer deficit, the last 3 out of 4 years was deficit.
By how much, Phil?
Well, the first year was 324, and you need 333, so that's almost,
Well,
that's
$9,000.
9,000.
Okay, so to make up $9,000 per
Yeah.
gallon,
Then the next year, you made money because it was a dry year. Then in 2012, you only brought in 306,000, and you need 333. And then last year, you brought in 325, and you needed 333. So you're averaging at least 10,000 a year deficit.
so 10,000 a year on price on per gallon, what's it come up to, 50 cents per gallon more? Or 30? That's where a spreadsheet would just, you plug in a number and you have it.
$7.5% would be $6.13.
We should at least be breaking even.
That's, what we gotta break
Okay.
even. And
But I mean, you can't go back after the, you know, if we had a
need to
deficit last year, we should be making that up for this year, okay? And if we have a surplus, then you either reduce the rate the next year or leave it the way it is, and overall, it'll average it out.
well, it'd be in the enterprise fund, you could use it for capital items, if in fact you had a surplus, but you don't even have that now.
So what are you proposing on the sewer rate? $6?
7.5% of what it is right now.
$6.13.
Because the sewer rate hasn't been,
43 cents.
Yep.
it hasn't been raised since 2010,
And we raised it, what, $1 then?
$1.10 then.
$1.10 the last time we raised. So this is less than half that.
Is the 43 cents going to cover the $9,000?
Yes. It'll just,
I
It'll
really
just-
would like to see a spreadsheet. I mean, I'm willing to go along with it, but we need to change the way we're doing business here, okay? Because this is terrible. For us to sit here and try to make decisions on this without a spreadsheet that tells us exactly where we stand over the years and how much deficit we have, I mean, we shouldn't have to be doing, and you shouldn't have to spend your whole weekend figuring out how to do this, all right?
we got to close before we do the budget, that's why.
So,
And we need to close, we have to close before the beginning of the fiscal year
all right.
to capture these.
So 43 cents will give us enough on that.
So you're looking at for
move it.
water for residential,
So here,
383?
I'll go through the whole thing again.
No, 383, right, for water residential?
Correct.
Correct.
For people that you had a minimum water rate, what was the
Okay, I changed that.
residential?
Because, you know, you have to have the whole infrastructure in place to bring the water to that house, whether they turn that faucet on or not. It's like running a newspaper. You got to hire the reporters, the plant, the presses.
Right, and right now
All
it's
your
only, what,
costs-
$35
all your
or something
costs-
like that?
All your costs are on the first edition.
I'm agreeing with you, Jeff.
You run out 1,000 others, and it brings the
I'm
cost
agreeing
down.
with you. But what is it right now?
$45.
It's
$45?
$45, and I'm saying raise it to 50.
Well, I was thinking
it's
more
only-
like 75 myself, but,
Well, the other thing I said was reduce the minimum allowance from 1356 to
1,200.
1,200 CCF. That could, you could increase that just a little bit more, but that was $10 a year, which is not very much. Well, let me just run through again the numbers I had, which I think will get us to break even anyway. Minimum charge, $50 every 6 months, and reduce the minimum allowance to 1,200 CCF from 1,356. That brings in about $19,000. Make the agricultural rate a percentage of the non-agricultural rate. That is 70% of whatever the non-agricultural rate would be the agricultural rate. That would be $2.68. And keep the no minimum charge for agriculture. So that's a 30% reduction off of what the non-agricultural rate is. And then the non-agricultural rate for water increasing 5% from 365 to 383 CCF. And that brings in about $15,000, $14,000, right around that, depends wet, dry year. That takes care of, just breaks us even in water. And in sewer, I'm saying go up 7.5% from 570 to 613. And this is the first increase in, 4 years? 2010 to
Correct.
2014. Last time we went up over $1. Two other pieces. One, and I'd like to have, like part of this to be, we'd stick with that 70% ratio, so we're not messing around with, we just have one structure for the agricultural. And second, we agree we're going to review this every fiscal year. Review our price structures.
I thought we agreed
Yeah,
last
well, we
year
did.
to go up, what was it, 2.5%?
2.5%
every year.
We had, right.
That's what we agreed upon. But
So,
that didn't
so
happen
for
some
example,
reason.
it hasn't happened. So if you did that since 2010 through now,
Right.
you would have
You
been,
would have been ahead of the
it would
game.
have been,
10%.
Right.
yeah, we would have been okay in the sewer.
What I would like to see is, I'd like to see, instead of the $50 go to $75 on the basic residential.
Okay, that's every 6 months is a minimum charge.
Every 6 months.
So that's $100 a year right now, and you're saying to make it $150?
Make it $150 a year.
Comment?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And we've got infrastructure stuff coming up, and we're always looking for money here. And I mean, like you said, I mean, that's basic pipes and repairs and everything else. We still got to run the water through it. So, I mean,
Okay.
that's just one for me on that one. And then on the agricultural rate, I'd at least like to keep it at 75 instead of 70. Just go to 75% and leave it go a quarter down from what everybody else is paying. Then I can live with the 382, and then I can live with the sewer,
383.
the 613.
I just threw out a straw man. Ed's had some
Well,
comment.
I'd still like to keep the agricultural where you're suggesting, Jeff. I don't have a problem with the minimum rate going up to $75.
I mean, a 5% on the agricultural, we're only talking whatever it is, but I mean, that's how I feel. We constantly give the farmers a break all the way through, including 61 land and chapter land and everything else. I mean, we constantly are supporting the farmers all the way through here.
So it'd be 287 at 75%.
Be, what, 90, 93, 97
It's
cents
209 right now.
less than
209.
The
residential.
It'd be 75% of
Yeah.
the 383.
So the
You're
ag
still
rate is,
getting $1 off, roughly $1 off a gallon or cubic foot. I'd like to move that residential, we increase to $75. And also the agricultural to 75%, the residential to 383, and the sewer to 43 cents, which comes up to 613. That's my motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay.
I agree to the $75 on a minimum rate. The residential rate at 383 per 100 cubic foot. I will go to the 270 on agriculture, but that's it. I think, you know, I'll raise that 2%. This isn't poker, by the way. But I'm just a little leery about going any further. I mean, farmers have good years and bad years too, so, you know, I just feel that I'll do the 270, but I really don't want to go any higher than that. I mean, they do a lot for the community also, so.
So you're,
We also do a lot for them too, and just the 61 land, you know, chapter lands and stuff like that, that's a hell of a savings that we save on them. And then when they go to sell it, they make a heck of a profit.
Yeah, but they give us the money back. Don't forget, they have to pay us back,
Well, they only
the
got to pay
61A.
back, roll back 5 years, that's all.
You know.
all right, well. Okay. I can't win here. So I'll split the difference. I'll go with Jan, who's trying to split the difference between Ed and I at 72. All right, so just so we're clear. On sewer, we're talking about a 7.5% increase to $6.13 per 100 cubic feet. On the water side, we're increasing the minimum charge to $75 every 6 months. And we're reducing the minimum allowance to 1,200 CCF. We're making the agricultural rate 72% of the non-agricultural rate. And I'll figure out what that number is in a second. And then we're establishing the non-agricultural rate as $3.83. Have I got it all right?
Yeah.
So, just bear with me for, I can't always do it in my head anymore. So the agricultural rate is 276. That's the 72.
All right. I'm fine.
Me too. All right. So we have a motion on the table with the numbers.
We already moved,
Moved it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'd like to make one more motion,
Certainly.
that we increase the rate by 2% every year from this point on for water and sewer, period. And it gets done, it puts whatever out there. Okay? And it happens. We did this a couple years ago, and we got, for some reason, it
Then
didn't
you get
happen.
behind, and then
Right. So
People
I don't know
get
how we
upset.
can automatically just do it on a yearly basis until somebody
Well-
changes it.
part of my proposal was we
Revisit.
revisit this each year, it,
Yeah, but if it
Depending
gets by
on
the
what's-
wayside, like it has been in the
Yeah.
past, then we're right back here. Can we build it
Can we-
into the billing structure? I guess
can we
that's my
build it
point.
into our budget? Make
Well,
it,
that's-
make
that's
it
another
a,
way.
make it a
Automatic 2%.
mandatory piece of our budgeting process to include revisiting the water and sewer rates. 2% may not cover it in a particular year.
I was going to say 1.5, and then if it didn't cover it, we have the option to increase it. But at least put something in there on a yearly basis. We
That's-
have to.
That's what the Finance Committee's been pushing for 2.5 each year minimum. But, well, all right, so there's a motion on the table to provide for an automatic 2% increase.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
All right. Yeah, we could,
But
we can always
in
not
fact,
do it.
Right. In fact, if you do see more than we need, then I would be,
You can revisit it, pull it
Revisit
back
it.
and stop.
right.
All right, so Paul can
Okay.
put in the budget, he can put in an automatic 2% every year. So on that line item, you just automatically put in 2%.
Yeah.
Make a note there, and that would be the budget, the automatic 2%.
All right, all in favor?
All right,
Aye. Okay.
But Paul, that will not include this year.
well, we got to make sure it
No,
gets
but I
done.
mean, that's, your
No, I-
2% is for next year.
Yep.
All right. Next item, overlay surplus. Board of Assessors has made available $50,000 to the general fund.
And
Is there some comment?
the board needs to vote on this to use that $50,000 for the next fiscal year's budget.
I move we appropriate, or that we use $50,000 from overlay surplus to the fiscal year 15 budget.
Second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Paul, you want to talk about payroll services?
Yes, I've, over the past couple of months, I've had some meetings with some local payroll services. And Selectman Lesko and myself have had several discussions over it, and we both feel that we need to bring a payroll service in. Currently, the assistant treasurer is essentially the payroll clerk, among other things. And we have no backup. It's a very precarious situation to be in. So I think by bringing in one of these professional services, we'll have all kinds of backup. And it's just a safe thing to do. I don't know of any other town around here that does their own payroll. They're all have one of these services engaged. So I've got a range of numbers of 11,000 to like $13,500 annually. So I'm proposing to increase the treasurer's expense budget by 13.5.
What's the savings, I guess, is my first question.
I don't know if they're,
Well, the savings, the savings
ahead.
comes down the road. If something happened to Edwina, all right, then there's nobody to do the payroll. We'd be in deep trouble.
big trouble.
Okay, even though Greg's supposed to do it, he's not gone and learned how to do that. Okay, so that's why Paul and I were talking about that, and I even mentioned it to Edwina, and first they said no. Well, they didn't agree. They thought Greg should be doing that, but to me, if we don't have a backup, we're going to be in trouble if there's something goes wrong with the payroll. You're not going to have people getting paid, and then we'll be in worse trouble. So this here you'd have the service doing the weekly payroll or the biweekly payroll. Edwina would still do the checking, the cross-check balance, because that has to happen, okay? Because the payroll service, once you give them the payroll, they're just processing, okay? They're not checking to see if X person worked 5.3 hours instead of 3.3 hours. So that they don't check that. They just write the checks and that's all they do. So you still need somebody to do a cross-check on that to make sure that the payroll is being done
So
properly.
basically, we're looking at granted, this is a vendor, but still, it's, when it comes up to, well, 13,000. Do we have that kind of money? No, we don't. Ed,
Well,
you
with
just
the
said,
over- with the
Ed, you
overlay
just
we
said
do.
Greg should be doing it. Well, I would say, Greg, start learning how to do it. I guess that's my
I
point.
agree with that, Jan, but right now, it's not happening, and you gotta have something to cover it, because if you don't, I just don't need to see the lawsuits coming down because we haven't paid somebody that we're in trouble here.
A number of the communities in our surrounding area do use this, Deerfield, Hadley, well, there's a whole,
I don't know.
most of them.
I don't know of any other town that does it on
But,
their own.
and the fact that you have depth and backup, so somebody gets hit by a bus, things still happen. But have we coordinated at all with town treasurer?
Not yet, you know. I mean, Ed has had discussions
Okay.
with Edwina. I haven't talked to them about it yet. I wanted to, you know, bring it before the board and the
I'm
finance
not looking to
committee.
pass this today, I'm just bringing,
no.
we're just
Yeah.
bringing it out.
Well,
Because I was gonna say, I would like to see them in here.
Yeah,
And
and that's okay.
I-
We're just
yeah.
bringing it up, so,
It-
just for protection here.
I think it's an excellent idea. And it's something we need to be tilting toward for operations. Where you have very, very limited staff, one person deep in many areas. It provides a backup in an important area. But I would like to make sure that treasurer has an opportunity to weigh in. But can we say for planning purposes that we put some funds in the budget, whether we decide to do it or not is a distinct
Yeah.
distinct action.
I mean, I would.
But just it would provide a capability if we end up going that route.
Can we put it in our budget, a line item in ours, so we can control that? There's no reason we can't. Put it underneath the Board of Selectmen, so if something did happen, we could hire them right away and get them to do the payroll.
I like that idea.
Okay, that's, all right.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? We'll just,
At least we'd have the money there to, if something were to happen.
if we decide not, but we're just trying to create.
I'm not gonna be here to decide not, probably.
Well, that
It
sticker
just added
campaign's already underway.
I'd like to move, we put, what'd you say?
13.5.
13.5 into a separate line item and propose it to the Finance Committee tonight. For,
If we have the funds, I can agree to it, but if we're gonna start pulling from other areas,
well,
Put it that way.
don't forget, John, we got $50,000 from the assessors.
I know,
that
but
we turned
it's
back
not
in
that
there.
we wanna burn through it right away.
Yeah.
Well, you're not burning through it. If we don't use it, it's gonna be there for next
Right.
year. If we have to use it, it's there like an emergency type thing.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
I made the motion.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
But we need to circle back with
Yeah,
town treasurer shortly.
we'll do that, and, you know.
We should have him come in maybe at our next meeting. Well, our next meeting's gonna be the town meeting.
Probably well, we should have one just before town meeting, I guess.
Well, yeah, but we
Did
don't
set the
discuss
pay
business
schedule?
the second Tuesday of the month.
Right.
That's why we're closing the warrant
Second and
today.
last. This is the last one, so the next one comes in.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Time
Okay,
flies.
so we have to get everything all squared away
Yeah.
today, and
Okay.
All right, warrant. Going right along. We need to vote the warrant today, like Ed was saying. We're not, we're not scheduled to meet again until
Right.
town meeting. So we need a version that we can sign tonight. Just a...
I move we process the warrant as is.
Well...
Or you
I
have
got-
some corrections?
I got a number of things. Number 10,
Yes.
okay, it's still reading here, this needs to be defined, well...
Yeah,
what-
the only person who seems to know what this is all about is Bob Bartlett. And I expected to get with him within the last week or so, but
Okay,
that
well-
hasn't happened.
All right, but the text of the article is correct?
No, it needs more definition. I have no idea what this is all about, and I've talked to Wilma about it, and she's not clear on it either.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Well, it gets the-
get with either Bob and/or Paul and get the definition that's to be in here. Otherwise, it's
Well,
going to
Greg,
stay
I
like
mean-
this, and we just table it at the
Yeah.
town meeting.
Yeah.
Did you ask Greg? He's on the planning board.
I
Greg
haven't, no,
Winters?
I haven't talked to Greg about it.
Well, he's
It
he's
says
on the
here-
planning board,
Yeah.
so.
It says here, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaw, section 9.632, regarding solar electric cooperative, and the table of use, section 3.0, subsection, take any action relative thereto. So, once you do that, then you open it up to changes in that section. So that should be enough to get us on town meeting floor.
But there should be
I think
something
either-
that folks
should be a
can
handout.
read that
Right.
tells them what is it.
What the amendment is, yeah, I mean, and that,
But it doesn't have to be here,
it does, you're absolutely right.
okay? So we can still
Should be
close on
on
this warrant.
file with, whatever, on file
The-
with town clerk.
Yeah, but the motion should have that,
Yeah,
that.
Whatever we're doing.
Specific information
Right.
in there.
So
But,
you
I
can
mean, this
take,
can-
this
yeah.
still needs to be defined out of there, just cross it right out.
Yeah.
And that should suffice our warrant.
but that was
See
one.
any other ones?
So you're going to follow up on that one with planning board?
Yeah.
12, the item you had in the read-ahead is not obviously what is being proposed. So is there some final version? This is a draft ordinance from our planning department. Well, we don't have ordinances and we don't have a planning department. So,
That's all I've got.
so what?
This should have come, Tom Olsey, Tom is the chairman of that committee, so I sat in that committee, and we drafted all this. And all this was changed, and I'm not sure where this came from, but we had one clean copy of everything that transplanted to the town of Hatfield.
Well, it's not here.
So
not
who
here.
who has that?
Tom had given it to you, I know that.
No.
Okay. You
Well,
can get
I'll
it from Tom.
I'll talk to Tom.
Okay, we'll sort that one
I
out.
was surprised to see that myself, and it's like, where's the
I
other
mean,
one?
again,
Yeah.
on file with town clerk, that's fine, we can
Yeah,
still
Long as
approve
this
the warrant,
isn't-
but you gotta
that's
have,
not it.
Right.
yeah. And again, we'd like to have copies of all
Yeah,
the
we really
things
need
that are
that in our package.
on file somewhere,
We need that in our package when we,
right?
for town meeting.
And then, let's see, on 11, let's see, what do I have on 11? Okay, that's okay. You're going to get us copies of these things, like the mixed-use development and the solar one and
Yes.
the marijuana.
And in our motions, we should have all the dollar figures.
Yeah, well, that,
We have to have all the dollar figures in the
oh,
motion.
yeah, yeah. Which brings me to the,
And then confirm on 18, that, well, that's, the general statement is, who's going to speak to what? Like the planning board ought to be speaking to all their, and be prepared to
right.
speak to all their items, CPA or CPC, Community Preservation, I'm sure they'll take care of their own.
I just want to make a comment on Article 22. I don't know if the town hall garage project is going to be
Right.
finished enough so that we know what's left. So I think Article 22, remains up in the air until the last minute, and
We could table it right at
we
town
may
meeting.
just have to
If
table
we
it.
had to.
There's still more bills coming in.
But we can still move forward on that, the town hall stabilization fund.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, just by the time town meeting comes, I'm not sure if we're going to know what the final balance is.
right.
I could spend 2 seconds here and go tell folks what's in the warrant. We're reviewing the warrant, we're going to close on the warrant today. I'll just quickly go through the items. It's not very complicated this year. First article has to do with all the positions coming up for election. Second article authorizes the Board of Selectmen to accept grants and gifts. Third article authorizes the treasurer to essentially do the banking for the town. The fourth article authorizes us to spend the Chapter 90 funding we get from the state to maintain our roads. The next article, which is a key one, has to do with the Smith Academy roof, exterior window and exterior door project, for which we'll have a 51% grant, but the town has to appropriate the entire amount. And we'll know, actually, they should have a good figure as to exactly what that amount is ahead of town meeting. And the next one has to do with entering into contracts longer than 3 years on various solar projects, and currently the Board of Selectmen only can enter into contracts for up to 3 years. These type of net metering contracts typically need to be around 20 years. And Fran Goodgen is going to speak to that article at town meeting. He's a representative to the Hampshire Council of Governments. The Planning Board has some simply cleanup in terms of their routing of materials, adding a Department of Public Works, which was not in there, and they're a key player. The Redevelopment Authority, the Ag Commission, and Historical Commission, to, among others, review project proposals and be made aware of them and provide any comment. There's some zoning changes on Elm Street and West Street that are being proposed by the Planning Board. There's a change also to the solar electric zoning bylaws concerning solar. Another one concerning mixed-use development. There was some misinformation last town meeting, so that's coming back and will be covered again this town meeting. Medical marijuana bylaw. Recall last year we deferred for a year while we studied what might be the appropriate governance of a medical marijuana activity here in Hatfield, and we'll be coming forward with that proposal at this town meeting. We're increasing the fines for vehicle violations that are reflected in our bylaws from $20 to up to $250. There's a story behind that. One activity saying, well, fine, $20, I'll pay the $20 fine, keep fining me, it's cheap. Anyway, we need something to get folks' attention. Except a provision, part of the audit proposed doing away with certain actions that cost more to execute than brought in taxation. So one of them has to do with the tax collector excluding de minimis property value. Another one There's two of them in that regard. Another one having to do with acceptance of a Massachusetts general law such that persons over 70 years old don't have to pay their license fees for their dogs. I'm not sure why that has to go to town meeting, but it does. Another one has to do with expedited permitting, and that will help us with some of our grant requests. And planning board's assured that we do the permitting within the time frame others call expedited as routine. We're setting up a small fund for the 350th anniversary and putting a few dollars into that. 350th is coming up in a few years. We were established in 1670. Town hall, we're creating a town hall renovation stabilization fund. Recall that we have a phase 2 requirement because we tripped the 30% assessed value in our first phase and of renovation. And we already have some money toward that from CPC, and we're creating a fund in the next couple of articles, putting some money into it so that when it comes up, it won't be much of a hit. We're putting a small sum of money from free cash to look at the Franklin Regional Transit Authority providing some transportation support. And this was requested by some businesses on Route 5 and 10. And we make it some financial support from them to actually cover the cost. We're setting up an account, it's called other post-employment benefits, an OPEB trust fund. At this time, we're not putting any money into it, but it shows that we acknowledge that we have some liabilities. It's become a major problem for a number of cities, like you've read about Detroit and Chicago and others who promised too much and now they can't pay. Another one, water meters. We periodically, each year, try and update and replace a series of water meters, not all at once, but just a certain number of them each year. A North Street project, section of the sewer line. It's adopting a hazardous materials and waste recovery law. CPC is proposing, they have two, as always. One, each year they have to estimate how they're allocating their resources, and then they have to come back and clean it up because the actual dollars available come in late. So one article cleans that up, and another one establishes their projections for this upcoming year. And by law, they have certain categories of expenses and certain percentages that they're permitted to allocate to them. That's pretty much boilerplate. CPC is proposing to support some inventory management and preservation project at the museum, Hatfield Museum. We're a small amount of money to take a look at the feasibility of what it would take to restore the bridge over Prospect Court, the Prospect Court Bridge, the old Prospect Street Bridge, for potentially pedestrian walking and biking. Another one, setting aside some funds for the Capewalk Housing for the Elderly, a windows project. And then a couple of parcels of land that we're attempting to acquire. And then simply setting some funds, as we do every year, into revolving funds for our inspection services. And there will be, by petition, an unlawful noise bylaw proposal. And that's it.
And the budget.
And, well, yeah. Yeah, and the budget, sorry, probably one of the most important. That's what we'll be covering at town meeting. We certainly hope you'll be there. Next item is the budget. So, is there a motion to close the warrant?
I move we close the warrant with the existing changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll sign it tonight.
All right.
Sure.
You're going to take Article 2, Jeff, start off,
Okay.
and Jan, you want 3? How do we want to work this? Doesn't matter to me.
I don't care.
All right, so you, we just want to get the sequence. So you-
Okay.
Jeff is 2, Jan is 3, and Ed is 4, and it'll go from that sequence on after that.
So what was that again?
Okay, Jeff is 2,
Two.
Article 2. Jan is Article 3,
Okay.
and Ed is Article 4. So if
Okay.
you
And
just...
then that sequence all,
Yeah, that'll square us away, town meeting.
but if there's a question from the floor, anyone that has
Right. That way, your article,
good
you can
information, please.
do a little
Go right
research
in.
on them if you have to.
Budget. We're getting there. Okay, we just did water and sewer rates. I don't know if that does anything to your budget.
Probably not really.
Well, we need to report that to
Yeah,
the Finance Committee.
yeah.
Okay, you still have to fix the COLA. We voted last time what that is.
2%, I thought you did.
No, 1.5% is what we voted.
That's salary up at the top, it says 2%.
Yeah, but we voted.
I don't think this is resolved, Jeff. I
Oh.
think they're,
Well, what the Finance Committee does, they can do, but we voted 1.5%.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
really tired of,
Yeah, but I thought we all talked and, I thought we were in agreement we'd go with 2%.
did we agree?
No, I thought it was just that, no, I don't believe we did.
No, we voted 1.5%.
Well, we did at our last meeting, but do
Yes.
we wanted, I guess after our Finance Committee meeting that night, they wanted to go with 2%, so I guess we have to discuss that. Again, do we want to stay with the 1.5%, or do we want to go with what they recommended, the 2% for the employees?
Well, we want to have that discussion now? All right, let's have that discussion
Well,
now.
it's part of
Yeah.
the thing.
Inflation's, it all really gets to what is our intent with respect to the use of COLA? Cost of living. Is it to ride with the highest union agreement and tie everybody to that? Is it to reflect the cost of living? Cost of living for past year has been 1.1%. We're proposing a 1.5%. How many hundred, what was it?
That's
160 folks or so that work in the school are getting 1.5%. How many folks you got in
12.
DPW? The 12 folks in DPW are getting 2, and is this your last year of your?
last year.
In the last year of their 3-year contract. It's not a
Okay,
one-year
so the
contract.
school is 1.5%.
School is 1.5.
All right, for some reason, I thought the Finance Committee said it was 2%.
No, it's 1.5%. I was on that negotiating committee.
I know
So-
we've always gone by whatever the cost of living, since I've been on the board. For the most part, always, every year, we've gone by the cost of living, whether it was more than union contract or less than con. I mean, there's been years
I'm
where
okay
it
with
was
1.5.
2%. There was years where it was 2%, we'd go 2%, and either the DPW was at 1.5 or the school was at 1.5, so.
Because I mean, there's only just a handful of people that,
12 people.
that it affects, 12 people.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, 12 people that are in the union. So it depends, what's your philosophy? The danger is, there've been times when the school contract has been over 3%, and inflation's not been near there. So do you want to tie yourself to the highest rate that's been established, or do you want to tie yourself to
I
actual
mean, it's a
cost of
yearly, it's a
living?
yearly thing that we deal with.
Yeah,
too.
we're doing it yearly. Some of
the
these folks
contracts
have
are
to do
3.
it for 3 years.
3 years, right. Okay, but then you look at your employees, and you're looking at, how many employees do we, what, six employees that we maybe,
Well, that would be all your elected officials, your town hall staff.
okay, I forgot about the elected officials. I was just thinking of the workers.
No, it's just, it's a
Well,
philosophical.
it's part-time, even with the fire department, they get the same thing.
I mean, we can leave it sit as the way it is. I just wanted to bring it up, discuss it, and see what
I mean, some
the
years,
Finance Committee said.
we give more than, like I said, union contracts because of the cost of living. It goes year to year. We always go year to year. We don't do a 3-year contract. So some years, the employees in town hall make out. Other years, they break even. Other years, they may be half a percent behind. And it's not usually the whole union. The union as a whole is like the teachers' union and the DPW union. So, I mean, that's what normally we've tried to go by, is what the cost of living is.
Okay, we've already voted, so we don't have to.
But, along this line, the one thing we don't have, that we should have, in my view, is some opportunity for supervisors, I'm not talking about union, because that's, but like town administrator, to give a bonus. Some monetary reward for exceptional performance. We don't have any merit
Merit increases.
increases, we don't have any one-time, did a great job this year, here's X. We don't make provision for that. I'm sure we'll come back to this discussion tonight, but for now. The collector stipend, we're going to talk about that tonight. So that's not resolved. Now, did we ever, and the OPEB, whatever they choose to do, we're going to go ahead with it because it makes sense in terms of reducing our borrowing cost, and we're not putting any money in it. They asked us to put in free cash in Article 23, and we're doing that. That was on the warrant. They voted, everybody's voted on snow and ice deficit. Now, okay, now where does that get factored in, the deficit?
Well,
There's a 60, and I forgot whether it's 62 or 67.
67, I think.
67.
yeah.
How,
You won't, it's, on another, one of the feeder pages, but it shows up on the summary sheet under state and other charges.
state and other, oh, okay. Is it in there?
It's in there, yeah.
Is the 67 in there?
Yes,
Oh, okay, okay.
yes. It's
Okay,
part, it's part of that number.
I couldn't find it. Yeah, okay. And you've taken care of, remember we were talking about certification, yes, we have a bylaw that says the clerk, the collector, and the treasurer, so long as they keep current with their certification, get a $1,000 stipend, there's a bylaw that says that. But you've confirmed that only the
tax collector.
Only the collector will
'Cause you have to-
qualify.
Yeah, you have to be on the job 3 years.
So you've reduced
Yeah.
that line. Now, there was another question we had about, in the treasurer's line, about consulting, a bump up one time for consulting, for an overlap, and there was a third thing. And an audit. Transition audit. So did we sort that out?
No. Because that,
Remember when Ms. Slish left, the budget she had for the year she left, she put in extra money for an audit
Like
between the
3,000 or
two new
5,000 for an
treasurers.
audit,
The
right?
new
Or
treasurer and the
something
old
like that.
treasurer outgoing, an exit audit. She put in money for overlap because we brought in, the board hired Greg temporarily, Mr. Winters, and
You need to look up what the line items of that department was
Right.
at that time. That's what he needs to
So-
do, last year's,
so there was some
what
one-time
made up the budget.
Right.
costs there.
And that's got to be backed out, because we don't need that in
So
there.
you almost need to go back to look at 12,413.
You know what you can do, okay? I think it was somewhere around your $13,000 that you want.
Yeah, I think it was, when you add it all up.
Okay.
If you leave it there, again, I won't be here to vote on that.
Yeah, but you don't want to keep that in somebody, that's the
Well, I'm
prob-
just
that's the
saying,
problem
that's where you
about
can,
putting it
that's
in
where
the
you
bu-
can move money around.
Yeah, yeah.
What we, years ago, what we said, we didn't allow that. We put it in as an article, okay? Or we put it in as a separate line
Put it in a
item,
separate line.
okay? That way it doesn't get weaseled in
Doesn't get buried, yeah.
with the budget.
Well, I
And
think,
then we end up with problems like this.
I'm just saying, you're looking for, I'm thinking it was somewhere around 13, 14,000.
Yeah, I think you're right.
okay, so we still got that one to check.
Yeah, I'll do that today.
And then, and we got the snow and ice. Do we have the right Chapter 90 money in here?
Yeah, that's the latest figure, the amended figure.
You don't have the overlay figure in here, though. The 50,000.
The 50,000, well, I was gonna get to that. What I did with the 50,000 was I basically applied it to sewer debt.
Okay, yeah.
But it's up to you guys what you want to do with it. I wouldn't apply it to the operating budget. I would apply it to...
It's one-time money, yeah.
It's one-time money, yeah.
That's,
So sewer debt, some of the
Yeah.
other debt, but I wouldn't use it on the operating
Well,
budget.
why don't we look and see what we're paying the most on?
in terms of
and
interest.
then, yeah, put it towards that.
Okay, but the
Okay.
notion of putting it toward debt
Yeah.
is a good one.
Yeah, I don't have a problem putting it towards that.
One-time dollars and,
Well, put it towards whatever we're paying the most interest on,
Yeah.
or maybe we can close something out, or,
or close it out, right. Because I was gonna say, we can't do that on equipment because we're locked in for 3 years, right? on the lease?
Right.
okay, so those are my issues or questions.
Okay.
Did you, well,
No?
I got,
did you have some?
yeah, on the ambulance, we talked about the ambulance to get more EMTs, which they are working on getting more EMTs in here.
He assured us that between what he has and Bill, that there's sufficient funds for their training requirements.
The training, but not the new EMTs, because it's additional training involved in that. They have their normal training that they have to do every year, okay, and certifications.
No, I thought he said.
This is for new EMTs.
No, I thought he said for the new EMTs.
He-
I mean, you
he
can
is-
double
When
check.
I talked with him, he was all upset because it was taken out of here, and he says, no, he says, we got a grant this past year for the new EMTs, so we didn't need the money. But we don't have that grant this year, so it really needs to be in that budget, and that's what I said to Paul.
Well-
It has to be in there.
Greg, or Steve, and, unless I totally misunderstood him, unequivocally said they were covered.
That's what I
But
thought.
that was my recollection, and I took it out.
And when I talked to Stephen, he said, no way, he said, that's only for this past year, we got the grant money for that. So my question is how much do they really need to train how many EMTs? Okay, because I don't want to shortchange them if we're, I mean, we need EMTs bad, there's no question about that.
No question about
And if they got 5 of them and it costs $1,500 to do each one, you're looking at $7,500, and you only got $3,000 in there. So,
They didn't spend it the last time, as I
Wasn't that
recall.
Sarah?
well, they didn't because they got a grant, and they wouldn't
And the
spend it.
finance committee committed, if they get more, they would come online.
Okay, so
And
so
our-
it's backed
and our-
up by the finance, okay.
Yeah.
then
And
we
our
can leave
last
it
time
just
we
the-
went through that, they
We can leave
said,
it just the way it is then.
they said they'd cover
I'll just
it.
back it,
Yeah.
okay, that's okay. But I just want to make sure that whatever training we need out there for new EMTs, it's given.
Did you have any other? No? Did you have any other,
No, I think that was it.
Paul, did you have some things?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, that hasn't changed much since the last go-around. Yeah, we've talked about payroll, we've talked about the overlay. The only other thing I want to point out is, oops, it's going to be back here. You will see that line 29, town insurance, there's quite a big jump there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had a meeting with our account executive from Maya, the insurance carrier, last week, who informed me that our workers' compensation premium is going up substantially. Apparently, we've been getting a lot of claims. And he said, you should, bump that up by 11 grand. So I did that, and then gave the overall budget a 3% increase. I don't have final numbers on it yet, but, I think we're in the ballpark there. So I just wanted
Was
to
that?
make you aware
not-
of
Not to
that.
mention a name, was that the policeman who was injured?
Yeah, he showed me, the premium is based on claims going back for 3 years.
So the policeman was in that.
Yeah.
That was a major one.
Yeah, and so I think next year that claim will disappear.
Okay. Sorry.
Maya has training programs, and don't we get, like, every
Credits.
time we have a training program, whether it be for the school even, for the school,
We get
the
credits.
teachers,
Yeah,
the highway for
Get a percentage
office
off.
personnel, we get credits,
we
right?
get credits, yeah.
Maybe you could talk to him to see if we can get some more of these. I know we started out with training, and then it kind of just, went by the wayside. I'm wondering if we should try to get more of that this upcoming year to get some credits off to keep our insurance down a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, they'll, when they have a training session, they'll, send out an email typically, and, I've been to a bunch of them over the years. But, they have them for all kinds of different
I
things.
know that, I know they even have, I'm pretty sure they even have these driver training programs where they have a simulator. They'll come right here with a simulator, put everybody through it that operates any town vehicle.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that's a biggie.
yeah.
And that'll help our audit too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
So
I gu- I
anyways,
guess,
that-
I guess the key there is if we could circulate among the staff, here are the training opportunities, the type available, and then what might be appropriate and when and where they're going to be, especially for DPW and police, fire.
Right.
Make sure they're getting that information.
So just to sum up, if we go back to our summary page here, with all the changes that we've talked about, we are $23,000 under the levy limit. So,
Will be a little more.
That's fine.
But, but we're assuming there's a wash on the treasurers.
right.
And we think that number may be a,
This may be I don't know, high, low, it may be off.
Which number?
Uh,
The 23?
Yeah,
anyway, we're under,
We're-
we're well under the levy limit.
we're
That's-
well, yeah, and I would not, I don't expect any big changes coming out of Boston in terms of the budget. There's been some minor, I've been keeping track of that. I've been, updating as necessary, but, they've already passed the local aid resolution, which is the Chapter 90 and the unrestricted government aid. Those are the big numbers, and they're not going to change from here on in, so.
But we can't enter contracts with those numbers yet, like for 90. So
No,
it comes
yeah.
out as a provisional.
Yeah,
Didn't we get an additional?
Yes, we did,
30-something
corrected.
thousand or
Well,
something like that?
258,000 something, some odd cents.
And that's, we either use it or
90.
lose it.
Well, that's Chapter 90. And then we got an additional, what, $37,000?
That's what I'm talking about. We either use it or lose it.
That's, yeah, 37, which is a good deal. Okay. Anything else on that?
That's it
And
for
we're
the
gonna-
budget.
Okay, we've closed the warrant, and we'll close on the budget tonight, I guess,
Tonight.
after weeping and gnashing of teeth with the Finance Committee. Evergreen, did you want to? Next topic was
Public safety.
Public Safety Building?
Yeah, I just, they seem to be essentially done, working on substantial completion. I haven't talked to Mark Gillette, the architect, in a couple of days, so I'm not really sure where we're at, though I did talk to Evergreen last week and said, the police and fire department are, they're ready to move in. When are you going to set up a meeting with a building inspector?
Today, actually.
For an occupancy permit? So, yeah, I just saw Stanley this morning, and he's got a meeting with them today, so we'll see how that goes. I know there's still, there's a couple of potential issues that Stanley has told me about, which would prevent him from issuing it. One is there's a grab bar in one of the bathrooms that doesn't meet code, it's not long enough. And the glass in the police vestibule specified to be tempered glass. We don't know whether it is or not. And he said, if it's not, if I don't have proof that it's tempered glass, then I'm not issuing a permit. So,
Okay.
And Mark had told them already to actually give documentation for that tempered glass. And I'm not sure where we're at with that,
I'm not sure where we're at with that either.
because they were
But-
doing some touch-up on the painting and stuff there. So that's basically about it.
Yeah, and talking with Mike on the police force, he said they've got a tentative date of the 25th to be able to move in. But, we'll see.
So is there anything that we have to vote on to let them move in, or we can just,
No,
once
it needs,
it's-
well, he's got to get the
once
occupancy.
the occupancy permit or a temporary, we can get a temporary occupancy permit to go in there?
Yeah, Stanley could issue one of those
Yeah.
if he was so inclined.
Right. So as long as they have the occupancy permit, then they can move in. They don't need our blessings or anything like that. Okay.
Amen. Ambulance abatements, is there a motion to
Ambulance.
approve ambulance abatement in the amount of,
190,
Well, there's a-
1,093.07. So moved.
$1,093.07. So moved. Your second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ambulance billing.
Yeah, I just wanted to alert you that, I started working on this way back when, but then it kind of fell by the wayside. But it did, the lack of ambulance abatement policy also came up in the audit. And so I contacted the auditor and said, well, do you have any examples of, policies from other communities? And he emailed me back to the town of Marshfield. But he also says there's really not much guidance out there about this. But I have talked to Steve Gahn, the ambulance director, who was unaware that we didn't have one. So he and I are working on this now.
Okay. Couple things. Whatever happened to the arrangement we had made when Coastal was unable to collect? They were essentially turning it over to another outfit.
Another outfit.
Collection
Yeah,
type
still.
outfit
Yeah,
to further pursue it. Who would
Correct.
simply get a percentage of whatever they could get
Correct.
to.
yeah, that's still
So it
in
didn't cost us
place.
anything. Is it-
Right.
But we never see anything, whether they collect or
Is
they
that,
don't
is
collect.
that working, not working?
And that's what I thought this came up with, because this touches on a lot of that, what we already said.
Yeah, well, the thing that the auditor is looking for is
Just the
something in
policy.
writing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, they're all
Yeah, something in
same,
writing. So.
Well,
but
we've got
so
it in writing.
Steve-
We
Steve-
had-
No, we don't have.
We had a contract with Coastal.
No,
and-
he's talking about a piece of paper that says,
Says-
this is our ambulance.
Oh, the policies. right.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
The one pager or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, something in writing.
Simple
so
enough,
that-
but-
that-
So can we follow up with Coastal to find out where they're at as far as with,
Is that working, not working?
you know, bills that haven't been paid? Have we gone after them? How much have we collected?
Yeah.
And if they haven't paid, then they're not entitled to some of the stuff that's in town.
Well, this community just essentially looks like takes them to small claims court.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You don't pay, it's off to small claims court.
Right.
yeah.
But we
I mean.
haven't heard anything, so.
No, I haven't.
Could
I
you get
haven't
back
heard
to us with a
anything.
report maybe for next,
Yeah,
Okay, so you and,
well, not next meeting, but the one after?
yeah. So, you know, the basic question is, well, how far do you want to go to try and recoup, you know, the money?
We go as far as it needs to go. I mean,
Well,
if
you
they
know-
haven't paid the bill, and there's no
Yeah.
reason they haven't paid the bill, then they're not entitled to different things
Oh.
in town. Okay, just like this policy says. So the Board of Selectmen can adopt this policy if you want,
no,
I
it
think we
needs,
need
or does it have to go to town meeting?
no, we
No,
can.
no, you would adopt it.
It needs some work to be, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got Hill Burton property.
Oh, okay,
guideline.
yeah.
Needs to be made. But, you know,
Just
for example,
I
so
just-
far, from
yeah.
July through March, over $10,000 have gone uncollected.
And we don't know if it was from Social Security or whoever didn't pay or where.
So, you know, and meanwhile, I mean, we have to have the ambulance, we have folks that get some small amount of money, have to maintain the ambulance, have to replace an ambulance.
If you remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were giving us a report, a full report on where the money, how much was outstanding and so on, and that kind of stopped.
Well, that comes to me. She
Okay,
emails
so
it
that
to
should
me.
probably go in with our
Yeah.
report, so we see it,
Yeah, okay.
okay?
We just see how we're doing on, but
Yeah.
meanwhile, you're going to work with Steve and
Steve.
refine that and close that,
Yeah.
okay? We've already covered town report honoree, Mr. Belice, and broken water main. We had a broken water main on West Street. Is there a motion, subject to Mass DOT permit approval, to approve the repair and replacement of the existing water main on West Street at the Mill River Crossing as submitted on an emergency basis?
So moved.
I'll second it for discussion.
Good, okay. I just
Okay.
wanted to get something
Yeah.
on the table.
On here, I noticed, we talked about the last time that if the new water line went through, they would be looking at a 12-inch water line, which we have the 12-inch,
Right?
okay?
But he also says in there that we have other areas right along there which are also 8-inch, not 12-inch, and
Okay,
he didn't
I
say
guess my
problem.
question is, do we have the 8-inch? If we have to buy the 8-inch, that's one
Said
thing.
he
If we
has it.
have the 8-inch,
We have the 8-inch in stock.
okay, so we have 8 and 12.
Correct.
Okay, and it's not going to cause any reduction, or, I just don't want to have this new water line be put in down the road when the federal, or when we're getting a grant for it, and all of a sudden they say that's got to be changed
No.
to 12-inch.
This limited amount of 8-inch pipe will not adversely affect impact or flows, pressures to the North Hatfield
saw
area.
that.
So, that's a guy that does this for a living. He has no interest in not giving us a straight answer.
Okay, and what he's looking, and I understand what he's looking for, he's looking to get as much insulation over that pipe as
Yes.
possible. Right. So as long as we don't have to dig it up down in the future, that's all that counts. I don't have a problem with that.
And the 3 permits are filed, they're in Mass DOT's hands, so we expect.
But you
the
can't,
turnaround-
you can't do it
Can't
until,
touch anything.
Right, so we expect the turnaround quickly.
Okay,
until he
and
gets the permits.
how about the money to pay for this? We're going to be looking at finance reserve?
Well, we could send them a letter, I guess, but I know what they're gonna say is to spend the budget down and then come to us.
Well, we could take it basically from water, spend the water down, and
We'd have to spend it out of the current operating budget expense line.
which would wipe out the whole budget,
Yes.
basically.
Correct.
And then
Well,
they'll just pick up the rest.
you notice the way I said it, on an emergency basis, which it would,
Right.
which would then authorize deficit spending if they had
So
to
there's
do
a
that.
couple of ways that we can do this. We could have, well, we've already settled, can't do it because we've already settled the warrant. I was going to say, you could put something on a warrant that brought it from stabilization just to pay for that emergency. Or we can pay for it we can shuffle money around at the end of the year and
Yes.
we can pay for it.
Because we
that
really
way.
don't know, I mean, that's just the estimate, the 35,000 is the estimated cost, until we get some final numbers, and
Right.
it might be less than that.
Yeah.
Might be more than that, we don't know yet, depending on what the permit stipulates.
Well, we could also go to, we're meeting with,
One way or another, it
Well,
has to be done.
it does, and it needs to be done sooner than later.
Right.
It affects water pressure and therefore
Yeah.
fire
protection.
ability to respond to fire. We could raise this tonight as maybe an item for the Finance Committee reserve.
Just put them on notice.
Yeah.
We may be
Put 'em on
coming.
notice tonight.
Yeah, we should
Oh, would you
make
bring
them
that up
aware of
tonight?
it, yeah.
Okay. I'm ready to vote on it.
Okay. We have a motion on the table, it's seconded.
Motion second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Green Community Act application?
Yeah, I just, I made a copy of the heart of the grant application, which had to be all submitted online. There was actually 4 segments to it, but just to make you, so this has already been submitted. I submitted it to DOER last week. We have 6 projects, and we are asking for $160,000 from the state in order to do all these projects. And I also just want to make you aware of a section of the procurement law, Chapter 25A, Section 14, which I cited here. Any energy-related project like this that is under $100,000, you don't have to go out to bid for. So Guardian Energy, who outlined all these projects, if we were to get some or all of this money, we can just hire Guardian to do the projects, so we don't have to go through the procurement
Still
process.
have to get estimates though, right? 3 estimates? Or-
No.
No?
No.
That's wrong.
We
We could get these projects done pretty quickly.
That's good.
I'm thinking that we could get them all done, before the snow flies. Again.
Well,
Well, yeah, they're
Can-
simple
can-
little projects, that's what they are, a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
little projects.
the only one that's complicated really is the wastewater treatment
Yeah,
plant.
putting in
Yeah.
that unit.
Yeah.
My ignorance, is a VFD a variable function device or what?
On the walk-in coolers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
control-
it-
what
What
it-
is it?
what
What
happens
is VFD? I know what it does.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think
I'm
that's what
guessing it's
called.
variable
Variable
function.
speed, yeah.
I just didn't know what a VFD was. I know what it does, but
Basically a variable speed,
Oh.
it kicks down the motor.
so nobody else knows either. We all know what it
I
does.
don't know what the.
We know what it does, but we don't know
Yeah.
what the
If it's set up
acronym
here
is.
exactly what it says.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact acronym is.
Okay, I don't feel so bad now.
Be nice if they put a thing for acronyms.
Old business, did you have anything there? I got several things here. One, town meeting, we're all set for town meeting?
Yep.
We
Yes.
got, copying, we got handouts going to town moderator for his look before they get out there, and so
Well,
we
not-
don't copy hundreds of stuff and then get it pulled?
Haven't gotten that far yet, but
Well, I'm just,
We will.
I'm just saying, part of the process, make sure, and who's going to be there as our legal person?
we will have somebody there from Brackett and Lucas. I'm trying to, his name is Greg. I can't remember his last name off the top. It's a funny last name. I'm not even sure if I know how to pronounce it.
Well, you'll get
But
us
we
his
will,
name
but
and-
we will have legal counsel there. And he's already seen the warrant, and actually, once I make a few changes to it today, I will be shipping it off to them once again.
Okay, is he familiar with our town bylaws and stuff like that? If he has to make if he has to make a determination?
Yeah, I need to get that stuff to him as well.
Because there's a lot of stuff here that's,
Okay, I'm just
Gotta
just
be
thinking,
on top.
handouts, copying, review by the moderator of any handouts, room setup, taping. You're going to post a meeting ahead of time, a joint meeting, or combined, really. Legal, finance committee, the moderator, and us.
what time's our meeting going to be, at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, we might as well make it at 6.
Town meeting's at
Town
7.
meeting's at 7.
That means it's 7.
So we usually meet at 6.
We just
6,
kind of go over
6:15, something like
things
that.
for the evening, any little loose ends, and,
6?
Set up for 6 o'clock.
and we do it in the library at the Smith Academy. So, this, Mr. Sadowski provided a letter, remember they were here? It looks like he and Bob have met.
I don't have
This
that
this was, the Agricultural Committee had come into the Board of Selectmen asking for an adjustment of the building permit fee schedules for agricultural facilities. And as a consequence, Mr. Bob Wagner was representing the Ag Committee, and our building inspector, Mr. Sadowski, were here, and they went back and reviewed the thing, clarified, and have come forward with a proposal that they both support. So, with regards, new
where-
construction to be exclusively used for agricultural purposes on land devoted to agricultural use, reference Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 61A, Section 3. We changed the permit fee structure from what it is today to what's in that last paragraph. So it's, the application fee is remaining the same, and the square footage has dropped first. And he's phased it based on 10 cents square foot for agricultural buildings up to 3,000 square feet, 20 cents for any
What was the
additional
original,
area.
Jeff, do you remember?
30 cents.
Yeah, it's 30 cents.
It
no
was
matter
30
what.
cents for
Across the
anything.
I guess the problem that I have with this is that, there again, the guy that wants to put up a greenhouse or a hoop house, whatever you want to call it, it's not farmland or whatever,
Well,
but he's got an
back-
acre of land.
Back up, look up in the middle paragraph.
Okay, maybe
To be used exclusively for agricultural purposes and farm-related activities on land devoted to agricultural use, per Massachusetts General Law, right?
Okay, so is
So-
that
so
telling
he's
me anybody
tying-
that's got a garden out there and they want to, that's agricultural use? The
No,
homeowner could put a hoop house in there and sell plants out of it.
So
Still have a garden.
So does this mean that this only applies to Chapter 61A property?
yes,
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's for 61A, you have to have a minimum of 5 acres. See that?
well, it's
Good-
land
good catch.
devoted to agricultural use, and he's defining the agricultural use per the 61A.
Right, which is 5 acres.
Oh, okay, I don't know what the
So,
acreage.
Yeah, it's 5 acres, minimum. And what happens is if you've got a guy that's got 3 acres or 2 acres, the small farmer, he's gonna be paying more for his house than a guy that's got a lot of land. And that's not right. It's the same building, the same type of thing. That was my problem talking to Bob when he was here last meeting, all right? It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair to the homeowner or the small guy. It's taken away from the small guy, because he's got to pay more. He's got to pay 20 cents more a square foot.
Well, I know this wasn't on the agenda for today. Want to table it and come back to it?
I'd like to table it and come back again
Yeah, I would agree.
and look at it.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of small farmers out there that, and a good example is right out here on
Yeah,
Elm
down the
Street.
corner.
Okay, just a small piece of land, got a nice greenhouse in there. He's paying top dollar, and the next guy is gonna be paying less than he is, and they're doing the same type of work, and they're selling the same type of product. So,
Okay, we'll take this
it's
up.
just not fair.
We'll take this up at our next
Okay.
session. And how about, let's bring
Bob back in, and
Bob
Stanley.
and Stanley.
Oh, okay.
And anytime
Well,
they,
so we can close on that thing.
For the meeting before town meeting?
No.
that's after
Our
that.
next regular
Okay,
meeting. It's,
be the second, no, it'd be the second, yeah, in June. Second Tuesday in
okay,
June.
what's the closing date on this building inspector, zoning enforcement officer?
oh,
And then what, are the qualifications spelled out on the,
I don't know what's on the website. Yeah, I haven't, that ad has not gone in yet,
I
so,
was gonna
Okay.
say, because they haven't seen
well,
it.
how about,
but, we were talking and said, oh, I'd like to, I told you I was working on putting an ad together, and he said, oh, I'd like to take a look at it,
yeah,
so.
so,
there it
well,
is.
well, we need the qualifications and the closing. What,
The other ad you gotta get on is the one that Tony had written up for for
Oh,
a
on-
contractor
On the rental equipment?
on rental equipment, and if we have a water main break, in order to keep us legal, that I would say every year, be bidding out for contractor to come on the property, and, for whether it's sewer line break or.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done anything.
We have, a number of contractors in the area, so. we have
Yeah, I
any-
did get some info from Tony, but I haven't done anything with it yet, so I'll probably put both ads out
Yeah.
about the same time.
okay, do you have anything more? Sir?
I do.
Go ahead.
As we all know, well, some of us know about the issue up on Linseed Road with one of the contractors up there looking to move a heavy piece of equipment
Oh,
down
thanks.
Linseed Road. I don't see a problem with it. He's losing money letting the equipment sit up there on, I think it's on Old Stage or one of those roads up there.
He shouldn't have been up there to begin with.
I got a
He took,
call-
I don't know how many loads out of there and jeopardized the road at that point in time. So personally, I don't care if his equipment sits there until May 1st. That's my take on it. He shouldn't have been there to begin with. And we're making every other contractor stay out of there, and all of a sudden he comes in and takes over, and that's not right. So personally, I don't care if it stays there until May 1st. That's my take on it.
Well,
It's up to you guys.
yeah, well, let me back up. I got a call late last night from Mr. Davis concerning a piece of equipment that was up there. Had been doing some work. The contractor was done. I think there's been perhaps some either confusion or not understanding about the weight limits, the times of years, and they're applicable. In any event, his family had been informed about it, and he was just saying that they're done with their work. They just like to get out of there. They just want to get the vehicle out of there. And I mentioned that we have a bylaw that covers this, and the board can grant exceptions or permits. I don't even know how we do those permits, and DPW is the focal point. At this point, they're just asking to get out of there.
The permit was designed, Jeff, to look at
The impact?
the impact of it at the time. Like if it was a frozen, like in February, you're not supposed to go on it since February 1st to May 1st.
Right.
But in February, if the ground was frozen and everything was go, we
could go.
We could go and give that okay to do it, okay? And that's what the permit is granted there.
Well, at this point, DPW, water superintendent, as well as DPW director supported allowing the person to leave, didn't believe it would make that much difference at this point. So,
Well, I guess my point is, you're allowing the
I
other ones are kicked out of there, and their equipment is still sitting up there, and their cribbing and everything else is sitting up there, and they can't go pick it up. So why should this guy be able to do it also? If you're gonna let one do it, you let everybody do it, otherwise you don't let anybody do it. That's the way I look at it, okay? Because it's not fair to the guy that's got his other equipment up further, that's sitting up there. So, just keep this into perspective. Just because some person in town calls and wants special privileges, that's not
no,
okay.
it wasn't, they're
Okay.
not clear on what
Okay.
process was, and the contractor was losing money just having his vehicle sit there when the
Well,
work
the
was
other guy's
complete.
losing money too with having his equipment out. All his stuff is sitting out there and he can't pick it up until May 1st. Just so you guys know.
I mean, this whole thing up there is,
A nightmare.
it is a nightmare, because if somebody has, again, a sewer failure, they have to get equipment up there. What do we say? No?
It's made for emergencies only, that's all it's made
Bylaw
for, Jim.
permits.
Well,
Emergencies
vehicles.
only. That's it. And this guy knew ahead of time, and last Saturday, he took, I don't know how many loads out of there, big loads out of there on Saturday. So, you know,
Where was this?
pardon?
Where is this?
I believe it's 2 Stage Road.
Two-stage road?
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
You have any view? I mean, I can't,
I guess, I mean, was this done by the town? I mean, I guess the weight limit, how was this, because I wasn't on the board, then,
I don't know.
how was it done? I mean, did we just,
It's in a bylaw.
so it was voted on town floor?
It's a bylaw.
Yeah. I mean, as far as emergency equipment, I would consider an oil truck not being emergency equipment.
Well, it sure would be if somebody's running out of oil,
Well, I
they need
mean,
to get
but
an oil
what,
truck
to me,
up there.
what's the difference?
I would think
you know?
that's an emergency.
60,000 pounds of
That's
oil, or?
The bylaw stipulates the vehicles.
Does
If
it?
you want me to go get a copy of it.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Well, how come it wasn't in the packet?
What, I guess my question now that you raised that is, what was the equipment for that he brought up there?
He
It was
didn't,
for logging.
contractor brought it up. I don't know what it was.
He logged off of all that property in there. And then Saturday, he took, I don't know how many loads out of there,
Of logs?
of logs. Yeah, loaded up his trucks.
I thought
and-
this
and
was
took 'em
something
out.
different. I
But
thought-
they
I thought-
sneak in there on the weekends and on holidays, and they think they're gonna do this work, and then get right out, and nobody's gonna catch them.
I thought this was the gentleman building a home.
No, this is logging off the premises up there.
Well, that's my other question now, if you want to build a lot up there.
If you wanna build what?
If you want to build a house up there and you go to clear your lot,
You're gonna have to pour your cement and everything else from May 1st to February. Otherwise, you can't get in there. It's things like this that ruins our roads and then, I don't know.
0.08.
I do know there's an awful lot of logging that goes up through there from a number of people. We log ourselves up there.
And they have to be in and out at certain times, that's it. And one logger was kicked out of there, and he had to leave all his equipment and stuff right there.
Well, one logger was cited up there when this first was, came to light for being overweight,
Where the hell is it?
so.
Okay. Says, Section 4.10, in accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 85, Section 30, no person shall operate a motor vehicle which weighs, including its load, more than 24,000 pounds, except a town highway department vehicle, a home oil delivery truck, a school bus or ambulance or fire truck or other emergency vehicle on any of the following streets in the town of Hatfield between February 1st and May 1st of each year. Linseed Road from Linseed Hill northerly, Old Stage Road, Rocks Road, and Plain Road from number 80 to Circle Drive, unless a permit for an exception to the bylaw has been obtained from the Board of Selectmen. Any violation of the bylaw shall be subject to the penalty provisions of Section 4.8, which is the $20 that we're looking to change.
Right, which we want to raise it to $250.
So he pays it.
All right, then I'm happy with it. Let it sit there till May 1st. That's all I want to see is it's law, not just something.
$20 is nothing, but sitting there, maybe he'll think twice before
No,
he
I'm
comes
just saying,
into
I
town.
just want to make sure that this is an actual bylaw accepted by the state, so we don't have.
I
somebody
move
come
that,
back after us.
The equipment stays there until May 1st.
Well, let's, I mean, any damage has been done. They just want to get out of there now.
So does the other guy, and all his stuff is there, and
Well,
he's got to
I
wait
mean-
until May 1st, Jeff. You know, I'm not going to go outside the bylaw because, you know,
I mean, it is a
just,
bylaw.
it is what it is.
I know,
No.
but
It is.
we're
right.
we're the,
Didn't
the
belong
authority-
there.
I really hate to do it, but it is a bylaw, so I will have to, I'll second it but for discussion, but,
all right, well, let me make I'll make the motion, and then you can kill it, and then we'll.
I just
be
made a
done with it.
motion, Jeff, and seconded. I made the motion that the equipment stays there until May 1st.
So there would be no permit
No,
per
no,
the bylaw, whatever the number is,
no permits,
to
just
authorize
the equipment stays there, right.
any, all right. And you
I
second,
second it for discussion.
all right, all right. Any other discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor?
All right,
All right.
All
And
opposed?
again,
Aye, I'm opposed. I think damage is done if it's done, and we're just being arbitrary now.
yeah, well,
this sends a clear message, Jeff, a clear message.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any other, did you have anything else, Paul?
Nope, I'm good.
Do we choose to go into executive session, or do we want to wait to do town administrator's contract after we've written a performance report? Paul is proposing.
We could do it after we do the performance.
Can you live with waiting a
Sure,
week or
yeah.
two, or is
Yeah, not a problem.
that all right with you?
it's fine with me.
Just wanted to get it on the radar
No,
screen,
you,
yeah.
no, and I was walking on the dike, I thought what we're doing is contract, we haven't done is, how about the others? When are they due? Tom,
Yeah, they're...
Bill?
They're due,
I mean, we look to you to kind of trigger this stuff.
theirs can be done anytime.
Yeah.
I did mine
No,
last,
no, it should
I
be-
did
should
mine
be a-
last year.
Well, I don't want,
Yeah.
I don't want Jan to escape without the punishment of
Yeah.
How about, did
writing reports.
One thing I don't want to have to do this year is, I don't believe we should be sharing that on TV, what their performance reviews are.
The performance
okay.
review is a matter of public record.
They can come and they can sit and they can listen to it.
The contract negotiation is one thing, that's off That could be an executive session.
But when
But how we finally rate
Oh,
someone,
the final rating, yeah, that's
final
not a
rating
problem. That's
of
not a problem.
someone.
But to have them come and sit and go over their review, that I felt really out of place last year.
Awkward.
It's awkward, but it's also not covered by the executive session law, or open meeting law.
Okay, could we have a quick letter in regards to those roads sent to Police Osley and let him know? Because he'll be waiting for a response
Oh, on
on,
the truck issue here?
yes, traffic on that.
Yeah.
And send it to DPW too. So with respect to, you're going to give us your input on your performance report based on your objectives for this year and any other comments you want to make?
Yeah.
And we already have some other information that you've provided. And the other thing, please let us know, when were the closeouts on our other direct reports?
Okay.
Phil and Tom and Bill, so we can get those before Jan runs away.
Okay.
I just like to go back to this Lindsay Road.
Yes.
We do have a posted sign over here?
Yes,
Okay.
It doesn't have a date, though.
just the weight limit is on it.
The signage needs to be cleaned up.
We should have a complete new signs for those roads, and they should be accurate on both ends.
Well, on all those roads that are cited in the
That's right.
In the bylaw.
Every one of them,
It's
so
not
there
just
should be a
Lindsay
sign.
Road.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I'd kind of like to reopen this too. I mean, just, if there is no dates on it,
There are none.
I mean, how many pieces of equipment we got up there total,
I
between
don't know.
everybody?
I don't know how much is up there. I know one guy's got a bunch up on the right-hand side, and this other guy's got some up on Old State Road.
Now, that's
And the
because
other
of
guy
the
wasn't
frost in the
happy
road, I'm
because
assuming.
his stopped
Is it?
about a month ago.
Well, you know, there's no base in that road, so.
Right, I'm saying because.
Now with the frost out of the ground, you know, it's subject to
Yeah.
damage, I guess, if you get a heavy load driving over that clay base.
Move we adjourn.
We got,
He's got something else.
it's the 22nd today.
Yeah.
This is a tough one, I'll tell you. I'd like to rescind my motion on one fact. If these people are allowed to leave, if they do one iota of damage, they will replace culverts, water mains, water services, whatever they damage, and we will have a cruiser follow them out. Would that be right? I mean, seriously.
I'm not in favor of that. He knew going into it, along with the other guy.
Well, right. There's been a motion to reconsider. I'll second the motion to reconsider. All right, now we're back to,
I just hate, you know, I mean, if a guy's losing money,
How about the town? How much the town loses money
that's why
every
I'm
time he
saying,
damages the
if he
road?
does any damage on his way out, he will be responsible for the damage and make sure he repairs it.
And the lawsuit will last you for 5 years, and by the time you're done paying the
He
attorneys,
will sign something
costs us
saying,
more money
stating
than
that
it's
right
worth.
off the bat. If, in fact, he wants to get out of there that fast. I'm giving him an option. Okay? You want your equipment out, you can either wait till May 1st, or here's the conditions you get your equipment out. It's no different than what we discussed about having the other contractor trying to put us in a road where he would be responsible. And we worked around that. I mean, I just hate to see somebody losing money. I mean, if it was a weekend warrior oh, tough, you know. But I mean, if the guy's in business and he's got equipment there,
No, he works on the weekend, so he, to me, he's a weekend warrior. He went, he snuck in on a Saturday and got everything done and got caught on a holiday, so, you know, come on, Jan.
All right, so.
He didn't deliberately go in on a weekday.
well,
He was sneaking in there and then sneaking out. It's the bottom line, you know?
Well, I don't.
But he
I
got
don't-
caught.
I have no idea what the facts are. So there's a motion to,
I mean, well, ask Phil. I mean, Phil, you're the head of the DPW. I mean, what would you just say, let him sit there, or, I'll tell you, it's a tough one.
It is a tough one, you know? I mean, I don't know exactly what he's moving as far as weight, you know? If I knew that, maybe I could have a better decision of how to approach this. May 1st is right around the corner. I mean, can he wait? If he says he's losing money, you know, I don't know. I would have to see what the equipment is, I guess, and how much weight is gonna be coming down that road.
Can we
do it tonight.
can we do this tonight?
Yes.
I'll take a ride up there with Phil right now, and Ed, if you want to come up, we can't make any
Wanna go up,
decisions.
I don't care what he's doing up there. The bottom line is, he's up there illegally, and that's the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. My motion still stands, or my,
Well,
My thing
you're going to
still
be there
stands.
tonight too, right?
Yes.
And you can give, I mean, you are the DPW director,
Well, let me call him. I mean, we have the guy's number, so we'll find out.
So, all right, we can revisit it tonight.
You know, if it's too much weight, it's too much weight.
Okay.
you know, when the guy went up to pick up, to drop off equipment, and he went up with the flatbed up by the end of where Rocks Road comes in, and made a U-turn, okay, with the big flatbed, and dug up some of the road there, I can just imagine now there's no frost on what's gonna happen when he turns in
You
with the
know,
flatbed.
and I agree with you, you know, I mean,
Okay.
you know the road base there as well as I do, is not good.
But will it be any better on 1 May than it
No,
is today?
the
he's
thing
gonna
is, we
argue
should-
that he didn't damage it.
But the thing
And
is,
then we're gonna be in a-
we should be putting up signage, and it should be maintained.
The sign is there negated 22,000 pounds or 24,000 pounds, whatever it is, and he's way over that, just with an empty truck.
Okay, we'll take it up as an item,
Let me call up and I'll make that phone call.
unanticipated item for
Tonight.
discussion at tonight's meeting. And we're going to defer the executive session to another time.
Will we adjourn?
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.